So you and your spouse have decided to end. You're going to get a divorce. You're getting along fairly well, so you want to try to do an uncontested divorce. What documents do you need to file in order to make that happen? Let's find out. Hi, I'm attorney Paul Whalen from Afford Law. At Afford Law, we practice criminal and family law throughout Massachusetts. Our fees are all based on your income, so the less you make, the less you have to pay. Let's take a look at uncontested divorces, and specifically, let's take a look at what documents you need to file in order to make that process go forward. So, in any divorce, there are six documents that need to be filed. If you have children together, there are three additional documents that must be filed as well. So, let's take a look at each one of them in sort of a basic approach here. So the six documents that you need to file for every divorce, let's break them down into how easy they are to fill out and to file. So there are three of the six are fairly easy, fairly straightforward documents that you probably would have no problems filling out yourself. In fact, one of them you don't even have to fill it out. You need to get a certified copy of your marriage certificate. So you need to go to the records department to request that and make sure that it's a certified copy. So you pay a little extra for that. They put a stamp on it. That needs to be filed with the documents for the divorce. Another thing you have to file is what's called an affidavit of an irretrievable breakdown of the marriage. So an affidavit is a sworn written statement, and it's under oath, under pains and penalties of perjury. So basically, on this document, you're telling the court, you're swearing under oath that there's been some breakdown in the marriage and there's no chance of putting it back together. So that has to be filed as well. There's also a form called the Report of Absolute Divorce. That's another standardized form, pretty easy to fill out. Mostly your name, address, biographical information such as your date of birth and so forth. So that one's pretty easy as well. So those are the three easiest of the six that need to be filed. Some things that are more moderate in difficulty, there are two, I would say. One of them is the joint petition for divorce. So if you're filing for an uncontested divorce, it's called a 1A. So what you do is the difference between filing for a 1A divorce and a contested, which is called a 1B divorce, is that you file the petition jointly. That means that both you and your spouse sign the document and present it to the court. So that way you're not filing on your own and then you have to go out and have the other person served by a sheriff with the papers and so forth. You're both coming to the court saying that you want the marriage to be dissolved and you're both in agreement with basically with everything that's going to happen with the divorce. There are a number of things that you can ask for in the complaint. It is a form. You want to be a little careful about what you're, specifying because it is obviously a legal document, and you have some leeway. It's more of a fill in the blanks, but it gives you more area to work with. So it gets a little bit more complicated on the petition. The other thing is the financial statements. So both you and your spouse need to file financial statements. Now there are two. If you make over $70,000, you have to file a long form. If you make less than $70,000 per year, then you can file the short form. But it's a very extensive look at your finances, and it's broken down into weekly finances. So how much do you gross every week? What are your deductions? And there are spots for every conceivable expense really that you have. So food, clothing, laundry, entertainment, electricity, cable bills, phone bills, everything like that. So it's not difficult to fill out, but it's very extensive. So that'll take you some time to do, and you have to again break it down into weekly chunks. So if you know how much you pay for rent, then you have to divide that by 4.3 weeks per month, because a month is not just 4 weeks a month, but it's 4.3 months. So that's just a mathematical kind of a thing. So that's something that you can do, but it might take you some time. The most important and the most complicated of the six forms that have to be filled is the separation agreement. And really, the separation agreement isn't even a form. It's something that you have to produce yourself from a blank sheet of paper, basically. And the separation agreement is really the heart of the divorce itself. In the separation agreement, it spells out all of your rights and responsibilities and obligations, each partner to the other, or each soon to be former partner to the other. So that's where everything is laid out, as far as who gets the debts, who gets the assets, who gets the car, who gets the house, who gets everything else. If there are children involved, who gets custody, how much support is there going to be, if there's going to be any alimony. E- Everything that's having to do with the divorce is spelled out in the separation agreement. And again, it's not a form, so this is really where you could use the help of an attorney to fill it out and to complete it, because it is extremely important. It does spell out all your legal obligations, so you want to make sure you're very careful with that. So those are the 6 documents that need to be filed in every divorce. Now, if there are children involved from the marriage, there are 3 additional documents that you need to file as well with the court. And again, they rank in from easy to more difficult, as follows. So there are 3 of the 3 documents. There are 2 that are fairly easy. One is called an affidavit disclosing care and custody. I know it's a very complicated title, but basically what that does is the court wants to know if there are any other court proceedings involving the children. So has anybody filed for a guardianship for your children? Is DCF involved? If there are any court proceedings in that court or in any court throughout Massachusetts or elsewhere. So you have to spell out if the children are involved in anything like that. The second thing is a parent education certificate. So in Massachusetts, if you have children and you're going through a divorce, the parents must take a parent education course. Once you take the course, upon completion, they will give you a certificate of completion. That has to be filed as well. It doesn't have to be filed at the same time that the other documents are filed, because you may well not have attended the class yet. So you can add that rather to the packet once you've completed it, and you can submit that to the court. Probably the most difficult and most involved of the 3 um, documents that are necessary for the divorces involving children is the child support guidelines worksheet. It's not terribly complicated, but it does have a lot of twists and turns, if you will. And there's a lot of math that goes on. So you need to know your salaries, each person's income, gross income, any dependents that they might have. There are deductions from the gross income. There are percentages that have to be worked out, and so forth. So that sometimes gives people a little bit of an issue, little problem, because it involves math, and we don't always do math in our everyday lives. And it's extremely important, obviously, because this is what you're talking about as far as how much child support will be paid from one party to another. So you want to make sure you take your time with that and get all the figures correct. So those are the 9 documents that are required for a divorce involving children. Again, the first 6 are for all divorces. The last 3 are only if there are children involved. So if you don't have kids together, you only need to file the 6 first documents that we discussed. And of course, there's always the fee, the court filing fee that needs to be paid as well. Currently, that's $215. So that is, in a nutshell, divorce documents for an uncontested divorce in Massachusetts. Right? And really, the only real difference between filing for a contested and an uncontested divorce is that petition. You're filing a joint petition rather than just one person filing it, and you're filing the separation agreement at the time of the filing with the other papers. In a 1B or a contested divorce, the separation agreement sort of gets hammered out throughout the course of the litigation. So those are the 2 big differences as far as procedure-wise and as far as the paperwork that's required. So as I say, at Afford Law, we do practice family law and criminal law throughout Massachusetts. And we base our fees on your income. So that means the less you make, the less you have to pay for our services. We want to make ourselves as affordable as possible to the hardworking men and women of Massachusetts. If you have any questions, please feel free to visit us at affordlaw.org and feel free to book a free virtual appointment with me. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have about any family law or criminal law questions in Massachusetts. Because at Afford Law, we're making justice affordable. Thank you.